welcome to the Real Impact series here on Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan along with Dennis Henson. He's the author of Real Impact, Daily Inspiration. And Dennis, once again, we come together to share one of these wonderful stories, get some inspiration, some insight, some encouragement, and maybe even learn something. That's always kind of fun to do too. How are you doing today?
That's wonderful, Richard. Thank you very much.
This is actually an incredible thing that we've undertaken for 2025 to present your book in what we'll call the long form. How about that? This is the long form of the podcast and videocast as well as the radio broadcast. And today we're going to focus on a wonderful little story about a little girl's goal.
A little girl's goal. Rachel Beckwith of Seattle, Washington, was a bright 8-year-old with shoulder-length reddish-brown hair and green eyes. Her smile would light up a room. Everybody loved Rachel, and she loved everyone back. Although she only weighed about 50 pounds, her heart must have been made of pure gold. Rachel and her family attended a 4,000-member community church near downtown Seattle. One Sunday, her youth group's featured speaker told them that children in parts of Africa do not have access to clean water. They further explained that they either have no water or must drink water filled with dirt, bacteria, parasites, and animal remains. He explained, consequently, many develop severe health problems and some die of thirst. Little Rachel was so moved that she asked her mother if she could forego her 9th birthday party to raise money to help those children. Now, giving up your 9th birthday party, all the attention, the cake, and the wonderful presents was no small matter for a little girl. Yet that's what Rachel wanted to do. So with her mother's help, a web page was developed that read, "On June 12, 2011, I'm turning 9. I found out that millions of people don't live to see their 5th birthday. And why? Because they don't have access to clean, safe water. So I'm celebrating my birthday like never before. I'm asking everyone I know to donate to my campaign instead of gifts for my birthday." Rachel set a goal of $300 and went to work promoting her project. After telling her friends, family, Sunday school teacher, and pastor, she watched as donations trickled into her website. When her birthday arrived, she had raised $220, $80 short of her goal. Little Rachel was terribly disappointed. Her mother comforted her by explaining that a $220 donation wasn't bad and that she should try again next year. So Rachel resolved that for her 10th birthday, she would raise more than $300. Only her 10th birthday never came. A few weeks later, little Rachel was riding with her sister and mother when a semi-trailer jackknifed into a logging truck, causing a chain reaction. The big truck rear-ended the car carrying Rachel's family, and she was critically injured. Although she was rushed to a nearby hospital and the doctors did what they could, her life support was discontinued the following day. Her family was devastated, and as they despondently prepared a memorial service, her mother thought it would be fitting to reopen her daughter's web page. She remembered how much Rachel wanted to help the children by raising $300, so the next afternoon the website was again taking contributions. More than 1,000 people attended Rachel's memorial, and as part of his eulogy, her pastor mentioned little Rachel's birthday goal. He told the gathering how disappointed she'd been for falling $80 short. Then he gave out her webpage address. In days, the site received pledges of more than $200,000, yet little Rachel's dream didn't end there. When the local media learned of a 9-year-old girl who wanted to help the children in Africa, their press coverage inspired more than 32,000 people to give to Rachel's project. But when her story was picked up by the national media, more than 80,000 people contacted Charity Water. They offered to forego their birthdays for little Rachel's kids. The tiny 9-year-old with a heart of gold had started a movement, and more than 1 million people joined her cause. Rachel's dream came true as hundreds of new wells with powerful pumps were installed. Over 9 million impoverished people were given access to a continuous supply of fresh, clean water, saving countless thousands of lives. And when the little girl's website eventually closed, $1,270,000 had been donated in her name, and more than $6 million was raised because of a little girl's goal. A dream is a wish your heart makes. Lily James.
And of course, a very beautiful story with so many different directions that we could go. But the first one that really comes to mind for me is the willingness on the part of people who learned about her and her goal, her dream, and how they, and through her, but including her, they actually did something that a lot of us are trying to do. She changed the world, even if it was just in a small part of the world specifically, but she changed the world through the people who contributed, who chose to become a part of this, we'll call it a movement. And that is just incredible. And so it is possible for us, Dennis, isn't it, to actually change the world.
It is. Thoughts are things, and having a goal and a desire can make a tremendous difference, which is that's what that story is an example of, just how powerful it is. And it doesn't matter who it is. She was just a little 9-year-old girl and resolved that she wanted something good, and it made a tremendous impact on a lot of lives. That's why the story's in the book.
And of course, this book is available to anybody who wishes to get a copy of it. And believe it or not, it is being made available free as an ebook, if you will. If you have unlimited Kindle, you can get it free through your subscription, if you will. That's just part of it, which is fantastic. The other way to get it free is to go to the webpage, realimpactbook.com. Scroll down to the bottom where it says podcast attendee, and click on that and go in there, put in your email address, and you will be given access to download your ebook. And I would think you can then run it through your Kindle on your computer or your phone, what have you, and read these incredible stories that Dennis has put together. And later on in the program, we'll talk about future endeavors of Dennis in terms of other books that will be coming out. And you can find out more about that by going back to realimpactbook.com, and you can submit your email and say, hey, keep me updated. No, I'm asking for notification when your next book comes out, and your next book, and your next book, and so on and so forth. And I think it's just a wonderful thing. And Dennis, would you say that we each have stories like that, where we have done something and we don't think much of it at the time, but when we look back, we realize, oh wow, I did something like that. And I'm a part of, shall we say, I'm a part of that club now, or I was even when I did it. And now I'm recognizing that, yeah, I am a member of that, we'll call it that kindness clan, so to speak.
That's true. And part of my Real Impact program, if you go to realimpactbook.com, you can see there's a tab there right above this month's special that says Help the Children. And that's a GoFundMe program where every penny that's donated to Help the Children will be used to purchase and deliver books to children in disadvantaged communities throughout the United States. So I hope everybody will go there and be kind enough to share what you can afford. It could be, just a couple of dollars that would help, or enough to buy a paperback, maybe $15, or a hardcover. Those are $35, or maybe you want to donate $100 or $1,000, whatever. All of the money. It's not one of those things where there's some president somewhere making a lot of money. All of the money goes toward the purchase of the books to get in the hands of children, because this book if used the way it's outlined, is life-changing. If someone takes the book and uses it to form the habit of reading something positive every day that moves them toward their goal, they'll be amazed at how much faster they'll be able to reach their goal or fulfill their dreams.
Yeah, it's when I have read a number of different books that are considered to be inspirational of a kind. The stories that I have read, they've touched me in a certain way. Or sometimes, in addition to that, they make me think a little differently about myself and about others. And that's really a wonderful thing to be able to recognize in ourselves, is that in addition to being able to change the world, even if it is one person at a time, or this young lady who did that, um, that brings up another topic as well that I want to go into too. And this was a little girl, a child, and her mother listened to her. People, even though she missed the initial goal by, what was it, $80, something like that?
Just about 80, yes.
Yeah. Um, Adults, and again, I don't know what the breakdown was of those who donated, but nonetheless, her mother in particular listened to her. And I have to wonder sometimes, Dennis, we don't often give children enough credit for being a part of our community and contributing. It's better to be seen and not heard. It's usually the phrase we hear, or that kids hear, about their role in the world. But this little girl, she wasn't just seen, she was heard too. And that, I like that. I like that a lot.
That's one of my favorite stories in the book. It, I I heard that story when I was walking one day, and it was a subcategory of another story.
Mm.
The other story was about a young girl in Africa who had to go and collect water, and she had to walk for 5 miles and then climb down the mountain, get a vase full of water and strap it on her shoulder and climb back up, and then walk 5 miles so that her family would have water. And just right before she got home, she dropped the vase and it broke. And so that was a sad story. But anyway, the story of the little girl's goal was the second half of that. So you can look it up on the internet. It's Charity Water. If you just go to YouTube and type in Charity Water, you can listen to both stories. I did a little extra research for mine, so it's got a little bit more information on it, but they're both pretty much the same.
Well, as we continue, we're going to talk more about what's in the book, the Real Impact Daily Inspiration book, as well as what may be coming down the pike for all of us to be able to continue to be inspired here on the Real Impact Tell Me Your Story edition. I'm Richard Dugan, he's Dennis Henson, and we are talking about the Real Impact Daily Inspiration series. Dennis, we have covered a lot of ground, and sometimes we go over some of the same ground, but it does seem to me, and I'd love your input in this regard, that even if we have covered some of the same ground, it's worth covering again, because there's something about repetition that helps to, I don't know, hammer home the message maybe, or maybe by revisiting it, we're saying this is how important it is. That's why we're revisiting it, because it's that important.
I agree. I think the premise of this book is very powerful. And if people will get the ebook and read the introduction and how to use this book, they'll think of 5 or 6 people that would be able to benefit from the book. And that's really why I'm offering it for free. I want to help you, but hopefully you'll want to help someone else. We have people graduating twice a year from college and once a year from high school. People, the holidays, Christmas and so forth, gifts, and throughout the year, housewarmings and a number of other things. But I can't think of any other place where you can find a high quality gift for less than $50. I mean, a really nice gift. If a grandparent wants their grandchildren to remember them, or nieces or nephews or whatever, for the rest of their life, give them a nice book. Write something nice in it. They'll put it on their bookshelf, and 50 years from now, they'll still have it. I know that because my aunt gave me a book that I still have. So, and it's a wonderful gift because it could change their life if they use it the way that it's intended. Like Zig Ziglar said, little by little, a little becomes a lot. So if you just read 20 pages on a 200-page book every year, every day for a year, you will have read 20 books. That's 19 more than the average person. That will set you apart. And it really will. It'll make you interesting. It'll make you help your education. But if you're reading something positive that moves you toward your goal, you'll be surprised how much quicker you'll be able to reach whatever your goal is.
Yeah. Well, I have found it that whether I'm listening to it on Audible or I'm actually reading the hard copy, I'm holding it in my hands, or I'm scrolling through it on Kindle, I'm learning something new. I'm being introduced to something new. I'm also being introduced to someone new, that author who I may have never read before. And it may make me want to go read something else that this author has written. You, as an author, you also have a number of books already out there, but you have some more books in the works that are going to, that if people go to the realimpactbook.com website and they click, hey, let me know when you got the next one out, they're going to find out what's coming. And I'd love for you to share with us a little bit about that.
I've been working on a group of real estate investing books for beginners. How to get started investing in real estate, the royal flush of real estate, where to get the money, how to find the deals, and so forth. And I'm putting out one a month. This month, how to get started investing in real estate will be out, and you can find it on Amazon. And you can also find the royal flush; it's already there. And then next month, it's the 5 M's of real estate investing. That's the skills. And then the following month, 66 ways to find deals. And then the final one is all the money you'll ever need for real estate. So if you're interested in real estate, you can go there. I'm just finishing up a book. I'm really excited about it. It's called The Laws of Nature for Success. And I started working on it in 1975. And here it is 50 years later. And I believe, well, it's actually already finished. I'm polishing it right now. So it should be out either this month or next month. It's not getting a book published is not a fast process. Once you've finished it, that's the easy part. Then you got to get it, edited, proofread, formatted, uploaded. Then there's always problems, and all of that. It takes a lot longer than you'd hope. I'm also writing a book called The 7 Secrets of Success, which I don't know when that one will be out, probably before the end of the year. And then Real Impact 2 and 3. Real Impact 2 is very similar to Real Impact 1. It's just different stories, poems, and quotes, just different ones. And then Real Impact 3 is much more about the spiritual miracles that have happened to people that are just unbelievable. I mean, you read about them and you study about them and you think, could that really have happened? But it's super interesting to me, and I think other people will like them also, and they're motivational. And
Absolutely. I remember not only reading about, but also in my interview with Og Mandino, and this is going back a good 40, 45 years probably. And the question that was always asked of him from the book, The Greatest Miracle in the World, and the character, the main character, if you will, aside from himself, was uh, a rag picker, if you will. And the question was always asked, is this person real? Is this really, was this a real person or is this fiction? And he would always answer the question, what do you believe? Leaving it up to the reader to choose whether or not this person was a real human being who came into Og's life and changed it with the letter that he left behind and the instructions and so forth. Or if this was fiction and it was a wonderful fairy tale, and thank you for the inspiration and all of that. And there are times when I think it's okay not to have the answers to those questions. I think that sometimes we get lost in those questions and we miss the deeper message within that particular story or book. And yeah, it's a curiosity. Sure, the intellect, the ego part of our personality wants to know so we can put it to rest, so we can have closure. Yeah, well, Og didn't. He didn't allow you. He says you have closure in what you decide the truth is in that regard, because it is a beautiful story, as well as the greatest salesman in the world. And of course, we've talked about Og on this program in the past, um, and there are just so many great storytellers. Are you, as you have gone through and searched out these stories and also obviously met people along the way who have maybe read the book or found out about the Real Impact Daily Inspiration book, um, there are more and more storytellers, so to speak, sort of coming out of the woodwork. They want to share. If it's a personal story, they want to share it because they feel it's important. Or maybe it's one that they did make up, but that it has a very profound message to it. Do you find that you come across a lot of people that are maybe would be storytellers or they are storytellers?
I don't know that there's a lot, but there's some, and most of them are people who have podcasts. We'll be talking, and they'll share with me that they have a powerful story that they would like for me to consider in their next book. And I am considering putting a book together called Real Impact. I'm sorry, Burning Desire. I'm considering putting Burning Desire together and collecting stories that people have offered to write. So
Mm.
I'll accept so if someone out there is listening and you got a really powerful story, then go to realimpactbook.com, and up in the very top at the center, it says contact us. And that's
Hmm.
my email address and phone number. And I would be happy to review your story and possibly put it in the book.
Wouldn't that be wonderful? That would be rather exciting for some folks to be able to have their story in your book. And oh my goodness, I've contributed to this wonderful compendium, if you will, or encyclopedia, if you will, of inspirational stories. I'm in print. As Steve Martin said in his movie, going back many years, when he found his name in the phone book, he said, "I'm somebody." And so when someone finds their story in one of your books, they can say the same. I'm somebody. But I don't want anybody to think that it's only through that process you're somebody. You're somebody right now. You really are.
Right.
And Dennis is here to help you to expand your reach, if you will, you know, to let people know that we all have stories of inspiration. And I would say, don't waste any time. Write them down. Put them down, whether it's on the computer, your phone, or longhand, if you will. Write it with a pen and paper or pencil and paper. Um, it's not only wonderful that it would be something that would be shared with the world, but also it's cathartic for for you, the individual, too, I would think. Now, you don't have any of your personal stories in this particular edition,
No,
but are there any plans down the road for us to learn more and maybe hear some inspirational stories from Dennis Henson's life?
yes, the book, The Seven Secrets of Success, that book came out of a speech that I was invited to speak a lot in real estate investing groups, and I wanted to demonstrate how the seven secrets would help people become successful. And I thought, how can I come up with something that would demonstrate it? And then I realized that I had a story of success that covered each of those seven secrets. In fact, I was writing on one today, the Wright brothers, and it was perfect. I mean, they used each of the seven secrets, and it was very obvious, each of the seven secrets for success, to invent the first plane that flew, or at least the first recognized.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there were some other people that possibly flew before them, but they were the first ones that are widely recognized as having flown.
Hmm.
So it's a very interesting story, and that story is going to be in the Laws of Nature for Success on the Wright brothers. It's kind of cathartic. So they went through a lot. They faced a lot of headwinds trying to put that together because, first of all, they were belittled a lot. It was impossible. Flight was impossible. Nobody believed it could happen. People made fun of them. So at every turn, they faced problems. They did a lot of testing that didn't work. Some of they spent a lot of money, and the planes actually never got off the ground, but they did get damaged. So they had to start over and over and over again, which is the seventh secret, persistence. You just don't give up. When things are bad, you just keep going.
That's another interesting aspect when you talk about the seven secrets of success. Most people are hearing that for the first time. Oh, there are seven secrets? And then let's just say they would write down a section of their past, an inspirational story. And then you'd go through and read it and realize, without even knowing what the seven secrets of success are, they're already using them. And to me, that is quite remarkable, which obviously gives more, shall we say, more credence or weight, if you will, to what you have put together as the seven secrets of success.
Correct.
Yeah. We're talking with Dennis Henson here on the program that comes your way every week. It's also available online in the podcast form on SoundCloud and iTunes and TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Blueberry, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. It's also available on YouTube, where you can watch these conversations as Dennis and I converse about the stories that we bring up. And this particular story this week has to do with a little girl's goal. The incredible thing is that she was actually able to achieve her goal. However, it was sadly posthumously, but the dream didn't die just because she was taken from us, from this earth. And that's something that is something we'll talk about when we come back, because um, there are a number of people that come to mind who have had the same thing happen to them. They had this dream or vision, and the vision continued on long after they departed this earth. We'll talk more about that with Dennis Henson here on the Real Impact Daily Inspiration series here on Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan, and Dennis Henson is with us here to talk about one of the aspects that I find fascinating. When Steve Jobs, who was the founder of Apple, I believe that's correct, he had a vision. And then we heard that he also, I believe it was, he had cancer. And I'm thinking, man, Apple's in trouble, because he's the one that had the vision. And usually what happens is when the person with the vision leaves or dies, things tend to not continue in that direction. But he was, of course, able to share his vision with others who have helped to continue his vision in regards to Apple. And it hasn't been lost. And the company continues on to this day, very prosperously. Let's talk a little bit about that in terms of how and I'm wondering if there's anything in those 7 laws of success that we would be able to use to make sure that if it was that important to us, make sure that our dream, our vision continues on long after we've departed this earth.
Well, let's just list them because we don't want to keep everybody on the pins and needles. You can find
Okay.
if you want to do a search. I did that yesterday. I went to Google and typed in the 7 Secrets of Success, and bam, there my name popped up, and you can find them rather easily.
Mm-hmm.
But the way I remember them is I was a musician earlier in my life, and we remembered certain things, key signatures and other things, by having acronyms. So I made an acronym for the 7 Secrets, and it is Girl Scouts don't make toast for boys. Now, your acronym doesn't have to make any sense. It just needs to be easy to remember. I learned that in Dale Carnegie course. So,
well, you're not going to forget that one. I can tell you right now, Girl Scouts don't make toast for boys.
right. So the G is get your mind right. S is to seek wisdom. D, develop skills. M, make detailed plans. T, take massive action. F, form great alliances. And B, be persistent. So that's the 7 secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Getting your mind right, of course, there's a lot to getting your mind right. It's not just one thing. You have to know what you want, have a focus, which is a lot of people miss that. The little girl in the story knew what she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to help the young kids in Africa to have water. That's what she wanted. And that lived past her because it was a worthwhile goal. But there's more to getting your mind right than that. You have to have faith and believe that it's going to work, and develop a burning desire so that nothing can stop you, and have a positive mental attitude. So those are the subcategories. The second one is seek wisdom. Read something every day, listen every day, and move yourself motivationally and educationally toward your goal every day. And that does 2 things. It reminds you of your goal every day, and it helps you take a step in that direction every day. It's like putting a rudder on a boat, because if a boat doesn't have a rudder, it can be a powerful boat. It can have lots of seats. It can be beautiful and have a nice floor and lots of room to sleep, but it's not going to take you where you want to go. It's going to take you wherever. You may get to where you want to go, but the chances are you probably won't, because your ship doesn't have a rudder. So by doing that, making that a habit and doing that every day, it reminds your very active mind, which wants to go in 1,000 different directions, where you really want to head. Okay, so um, developing skills means no matter what you're going to do, you there's a set of skills in there that you have to practice if you want to become successful. If you want to play basketball, you better practice dribbling and shooting and passing and defense, or you're going to fail miserably.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same way with a business. So make detailed plans. Of course, you you wouldn't dare build a building without making plans. You may end up with a building with no plumbing. Down to put the plumbing in. So I mean, it's plans are important. Uh,
Well, and I will tell you on that note, that note of building a building, I saw a little video that talked about the world's tallest building, which is in Dubai. And apparently, somehow, believe it or not, that was at the waste system was left out of the plans in that building. And I thought, how is that possible? You know, because and I don't know what all of the different categories that need to be dealt with, the masonry, the skeletal structure, the electricians, the heating and cooling systems, or I guess they call them HVAC and so forth. And again, all of these other areas, and you left out the plumbing?
wouldn't want to spend much time on the top floor of that building, would you?
No, not at all. And I believe they have, I don't know how they've rectified that. Nonetheless, so you are absolutely correct. You know, if you're going to do that or you're going to build a bridge, I ain't going to cross it unless you had all of the people involved that needed to be to make sure that all of the infrastructure that was required, was put in so that it was safe to go across, you know? So, that's a big part there. Dennis Henson, my guest, author of The Real Impact Daily Inspiration. This is the Daily Inspiration series here on Tell Me Your Story. Dennis Henson, I want to ask you as we come to the last, I don't know, 8 or 9 minutes of this particular edition of the Real Impact series here on Tell Me Your Story. When you start putting together all of these different books, you talked about the real estate books that are coming out in this month, next month, the next month, and so forth. And then, of course, the 7 Secrets of Success. But you also have a book that really intrigues me to no end. And that is the book having to do with the laws of nature. Because on this program, over and over again, I have said, nature is our greatest teacher.
That book it was funny when I was a band director. I wanted to be a college band director. I was offered the position at Georgia Tech, and I had accepted it. They'd written the contract, but I hadn't signed it yet. And a company out of Tennessee called and said, "We want you to come interview." I said, "No, no, no. I already got a dream job. I'm not coming." Well, they said, "Look, we will give you a round trip ticket. We'll buy you a steak. We will give you a cigar. Everything's just going to be wonderful." Well, I could get a steak in Atlanta and I didn't smoke, but the round trip ticket sounded pretty good. So I got on the plane and I thought, well, I can tell them no up there. And they offered me 20 times what Georgia Tech was going to pay me. And I took the position.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing they did was they gave me 3 books: Think and Grow Rich, Success the Glenn Bland Method, and The Greatest Salesman in the World. And I loved those. I went back for a training program. The vice president, Jack McConico, looked me up. Now, there were hundreds of people there. And the vice president of the company sought me out. And he said, "Dennis, come into my office. I want to get to know you." Okay. So I was talking about this earlier today with my secretary. I said, have you ever met someone that you felt like you had known them your entire life, but it's the first time you'd ever seen them? And she said, yes, that's happened to me. I said, well, that was Jack McConaughey. We were just instantly best friends. But he was really important, and I was just a brand new person off the street. So he would bring me in and coach me. Now, there were hundreds of people there that he could be coaching, and he coached me. I don't know why to this day. So he asked me questions like, Dennis, where you want to be 5 years from now? What do you want to be? What do you want to do? What you're going to be 10 years from now, 15? What do you want to become? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? He asked me all these questions, and I didn't have any answers. I'd never heard questions like that. Then he started saying, well, now there's these certain laws that if you follow, then life is going to be really easy. You're going to be successful. People will admire you and respect you, and your journey through life is going to be very pleasant. But if you go against these laws, it'll be just the opposite. And he started telling me the things, and I said, stop, because I just read 3 books and I wanted another one. I said, Jack, where's the book? I want to read the book. You know, the laws of nature. And he said, no, Dennis, you don't understand. It's not in any one book. It's in lots of books. It's a life study. So after that meeting, I thought, well, that's not right. There is a book that has the laws of nature that I want, the laws of nature for success. Well, that was 50 years ago, and I've been looking ever since, and there is not one. There's not an article. There's not a book. Now, there's lots of other things, and I listed them in my book. You know, I said, Napoleon Hill said this, and Stephen Covey said this, and all these. I listed all that. I said, I read all of that, but it's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is somebody that starts with, this is what I want, and this is what I'm going to do next, and next, and next, and next, and I'm going to be successful. And I started reading, and I read about all kinds of successful people. I mean, really, people you'd know instantly, like, the Wright brothers, Walt Disney, and the list went on and on and on. And every single one followed the exact same path. Well, then I looked up, what makes something a law of nature? And there's like 5 criteria. It has to be this, 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 and this. I listed those in the book. Here are the criteria. And then I thought, oh, I wonder if these secrets are laws. I wonder if anybody tried these things, would they work for anybody? And so in the book, I proved that they actually were, and I renamed them. And so I've discovered 7 new laws of nature, just like the law of gravity, or just like the inertia, or the law of perpetual motion, whatever. I've got my own laws, and there's 7 of them. And if people will follow those, well, let me give you an example. Yesterday, I was thinking, when I'm teaching people how to find out I got 2 minutes. When I'm teaching people how to find out what they really want in life, I say, make a list of all the things you're good at and all the things you love. Prioritize the list of things you're good at, prioritize the things that you love, and look at the top, and the ones that intersect, that's what you should be doing. And I thought, I hadn't done that in a long time. I think I'll do that. And the thing I came out with was, I would love to be speaking. I want to do public speaking. Now, this is absolutely true. This was yesterday. Today, I had a missed call. I called them back, and they were a speaking promoter who wanted to promote me as a speaker for a commission. In other words, it cost me nothing. They get me the gig, and they get a percentage. Isn't that amazing? I mean, it's like a miracle.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not a miracle. It's a law of nature. Once you get your mind right, things start happening.
It makes me think of, we talked about this before, the law of attraction and the conversations I've had, and how it isn't just the things that you attract to yourself. It is the things that you are then attracted to when, again, you get your mind right and you know what you want. And I have to say, I could give you examples myself. However, that'll have to wait for another time. Dennis, thank you once again. This has been fantastic. My hat is off, literally and figuratively, to this young girl who sadly has been on the other side as far as we're concerned, but continues, if I'm not mistaken, probably continues to help these people because she was able to provide water to this community in Africa. And that's what the inspiration, the real impact daily inspiration is all about. So, Dennis, thank you. And we'll look forward to talking with you again next week.
Thank you, Richard.
And I thank you for listening to and watching Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. Until our next broadcast, podcast, videocast, love to Lal. Jeanette, I'm still listening. Dad, continue to be happy. Mike, thanks for letting me be in your life. Smokey, I'll see you on the other side. And to my dear friend Zorro, aho.